In pictures, I'm like, yeah.
Hi, my name is
Yeah.
Kamoi,
That's what I am. in
and this
pictures.
is my
So
story.
I don't know if that's appropriate.
I moved to Ottawa in September of 2018, and since then I have been attending Bethel. I serve with my sanctuary fam and also on the collective team, leading worship in, wherever there's a need. When I'm not here in Ottawa, I am back in Toronto or in the GTA with my family. My family and I, we moved from Jamaica when I was quite young, and we ended up settling down there. And as crazy and complicated as family is, I love them. They are everything to me. I grew up in a Christian household, so I was never unfamiliar with God. But for me, the decision to follow God was something that happened gradually to a point where I made that decision publicly on my own. On November 27, 2011, I got baptized. I remember that day being a defining moment for me because at that moment I realized not only was it the best decision that I'd ever made, but it gave me an assurance that regardless of whatever situation that I would walk through, that I would have something to stand on. In October of 2017, the most unexpected thing happened to me. I have always been someone that struggled with my hearing, and it was more so a routine thing up until I started going to university, and I was referred to an ENT specialist, an ear, nose, and throat specialist. During one of my routine checkups where we were just supposed to kind of take a hearing test and see what was going on, I had been going into it with a lot of pain. And during that appointment, the ENT was looking through my ear and my ear started bleeding. Clearly something was wrong, and that kind of set off a series of events that I didn't really expect. I was immediately sent to do MRI, CT scan, and they had no idea what they were looking at. They said that there was something growing in my ear/head, and they couldn't really pinpoint what that was. After being sent to Sunnybrook and speaking with a surgeon, they came to the conclusion that there had been a growth in my ear. Now, in front of that, a cyst grew, and the cyst got infected, and that is why I was feeling the pain. And so when I left there, I left with a whole bunch of medication and an appointment to get a regular surgery done at the end of November. What ended up happening, however, over the next 2 weeks was a set of challenges. The infection continued to spread, the medication wasn't working, and despite any and all the pain medication that they had been prescribing me, nothing was working. I was kind of in and out of the hospital, in and out of doctors, and one night my parents had picked me up from campus and brought me home. And I had went upstairs, and I guess my parents had called to me, and I was quite unresponsive. When they came upstairs to my room, they had realized that half of my face was, only way I could describe it was like exploding. I was in severe amount of pain and had to be rushed to the hospital. So when I got to the hospital, they realized that because of the severity of the infection, they had to do an emergency surgery. So on November 3rd, 2017, on my 20th birthday, at 11 p.m., I was rushed into surgery. The surgery ended up being a bit over 4 hours. And when they went in to see what was going on, they realized that there had been a growth in my ear that had been growing for over 10 years. In the process of the surgery, they let me know that unfortunately, because of the infection and because of how bad the growth had gotten, they weren't actually able to recover most of my hearing. And so as a result, even though the infection was gone, so with it went about 90% of my hearing. And that was something that could not be changed or fixed post-surgery. Since that time, there have been many other implications or complications and all of that. But there were a few things that I learned in that process and a few things that I would like to share with you. God is truly sovereign. I think sometimes we forget that when we walk through situations that are seemingly painful or complicated or don't make sense. The thing that I realized was that the very thing that was causing me the most pain, the cyst that got infected, was the only way that they were able to find the growth that had been growing in my head for 10 years. But God was able to show me that in and through it all, He had a plan. If I had not gone in and done that surgery, in about a few weeks or so, I would have actually woken up with permanent damage on my face. The second thing that I learned from this is that in our weakness, He really is made strong. A lot of times when I'm up on a stage or in a room and I have to lead worship, I am constantly faced with the fact or the reality that I actually cannot do it on my own. Sometimes it is challenging, and sometimes it's hard to hear, and sometimes it's hard to navigate. But as weird as it sounds, I almost feel like that's where God wants us, in a position where we realize that we actually can't do it on our own strength. Where when you look at someone doing these things that you think are absolutely amazing, they can look back and say, no, that's actually not me. That's actually God. No, it's not me that you praise. It's actually God that gets the glory, because without Him, I am incapable and I am unable. So Bethel family, what I want you to know is that first and foremost, God is sovereign. He's in control. And secondly, in your imperfection, in your weakness, He is made known and He is strong. My name is Kamoi, and this is my story.